So we're on chapter 8 and we're talking about the eyes, and it's taking a little bit longer here because there's so much information about our eyes here. And if you could be an ophthalmologist, or a ophthalmologist, eyes, you can see you'd have so much information, but it's so amazing how our eyes work. And so we were getting to the point where we're talking about the rods and the cones in our eyes. And we were talking about how our eyes transmit these visual transmission. And we went and talked about the persistence of vision, where there's about a tenth a second delay between the time that our light strikes our retina and then the image is still on our retina a little bit, and this gives us that point. So as it's coming through, that we can actually see the whole motion picture, everything in motion. So it's kind of like that a movie camera, it's so fast there that we're seeing it. So you're getting these impulses of seeing this, and it's on our eye, this persistent. Just think that our eyes are like these little cameras that are motion cameras, basically movie cameras, that our eyes are projecting these visions as they are, as a movement is perceptive. Pretty amazing. So this picture here I'd like to go over. We have your eyes. And I said this before on our last video, but you have the optic nerves coming from both your eyes. But as your eyes are seeing this, the optic nerves, you see this optic chiasm right there. I talked about the optic chiasm, and that's where right before the thalamus, and this thalamus is an organ, is going to, and it goes on to our visual cortex. This is our brain. It's the visual cortex of our brain, and you have these optic tracts. Now, I went over that, but I didn't show you the picture, and it's so important that you see the picture, because the optic chiasm is where the nerves curve inward and meet at the point right beneath the thalamus, right here. This optic chiasm, and half of the nerve fibers cross to the other side at that point. And then we have the optic tracts, these optic tracts that are going up into our cortex so we can think about what we're seeing, right? How amazing. And the optic tracts coming from the thalamus there. So as we're going through here, the left half of the field of view is from both eyes is transmitted to the right visual cortex, and the right half is to the left, transmitted to the left visual cortex. You see how the eyes are taking them, and they're kind of going to this one going to this side and this one going to this side, so we can see almost backwards there. And then we have the picture here of the color sensitivity of the cones. And you can see how we only have red cones, green cones, and blue cones. So we only see in primary colors, but we can see how they combine. And as they combine, we can see all these different colors in combination, a variety of colors and wavelengths of light. So we're seeing these wavelengths of light, and we're bringing in these spectrums of color into our eyes. Another amazing thing. The wavelength of light in nanometers, it says. And this is the light absorption. So you can see how the light's absorbed at these points. So mixing these colors together. So let's go on to the next here. So alrighty, look what we got here. So I was going to go on to what was inside here, the ciliary muscles. So anyway, this area that we have what's called the aqueous humor. The aqueous humor, let me see if we can get another picture, better picture. No. Sorry, I'm getting this here, okay? So this inside here is called the vitreous humor. So we have what also is called the aqueous humor. And this aqueous humor is between the cornea and the lens. So you need to know about the aqueous humor and the vitreous humor. What are these things, these humor things? Well, the aqueous humor is the transparent. It's very transparent. It's a clear fluid between the cornea and iris and the lens. And it's produced from the blood circulating in the ciliary body, and it functions to keep the eyeball firm and in shape. It also supplies the lens with and the cornea with nutrition. So here we have this aqueous humor between the cornea and the lens here. This you can kind of see, you can't really see it that well because it blends in with the iris of your eye there in that position. But this is the aqueous humor. But then we have this humor down here. So we're going to talk about that. Well, at the aqueous humor, let's go back to this area of the aqueous humor. We have the lens, which is the part of the eye that focuses the rays that pass through and are connected to the ciliary body and just behind the iris. And this lens is tightly packed transparent cells that enclose in a capsule of elastic tissue. So here we have this lens. What amazing. How amazing is that? The rays of light pass through the cornea first. So the rays of light are coming through the cornea first, and then going on through the cornea to the aqueous humor. That's right here, this aqueous humor where this clear fluid is. And then on to, through the pupil before the lens, and it reaches the lens, and they are bent by these lens to form an image of retina on the back of the eye. And this curvature of the lens is accomplished by contracting the muscles, as the ciliary muscles. So it's kind of complicated. And when relaxed, the lens is partly flattened for distance, and it bulges when the allows the eye to focus on images. So here we have the lens here. The light's coming through here, coming through the aqueous humor from the pupil as it goes from the cornea down the pupil. Light as it coming in here, and this lens is going to bend whichever way to focus the light to the retina. So basically to the retina, where it's going to bring the vision, bring the picture into our retina, which is this part here, retina. And the fovea is one of the points where it's going to bring in this. So, okay. So going on from the aqueous humor, let's talk about this here. What's this stuff in here? The vitreous humor. The vitreous humor is a transparent jelly-like substance. It's 98% water. And it keeps the retina pressed against the choroid layer. So it keeps the retina here against the choroid. So it's the retina's back here where the retina's gonna receive this light coming in here and receive the light and the pictures of the light on our retina. Let's see. So that's the vitreous humor. It's kind of like keeps all this in here so that basically the eye has its shape like an eyeball. You see, here's the pupil with the dim light and the pupil with the bright light. It can be 30 times bigger with when the lights are dim. Also, certain drugs cause our pupils to react too. People are drug addicts. Sometimes their pupils are real tiny, and some drug addicts, their pupils are really big, even though light doesn't matter, just the drugs working on their eyes. So now we're gonna go, we went through the structure, all the structure of the retina with the rods and the cones, kind of important. Here's where it comes from. Here's the retina. See how the retina's in the back here? Here's the retina. So the incoming light's coming through, and you have the lens reacting, how the lens reacted, goes through all this vitreous humor, but anyway, it goes back to the retina here, and these are where the light sensing cones are getting the pictures of what we see. And here's to the optic nerve, but this is going to be the cross section of the retina there. And then you have these little rods and cones in the retina, getting the color, cone, and rod, and the big picture. Okay, we went over this part. Now we're going to go over to the different things that can go wrong with your eyes, right? And this is where I wanted to. So, well, this is going over accommodation, how your eyes accommodate for certain things. Accommodate means how they adjust. And so if you have a near object, so your eyes, as they come through, you can see where the light's coming through and how it crosses over to the retina so you can see it. You actually have an upside down image there. Can you believe that? But your brain turns it right side up. And so the ciliary muscles are contracted. It brings in with the lens here coming through, and you can see how you can see a near object. So if you're going to see objects, far object, okay, you're looking at this far object, which is a house, there, say it's a house or whatever you're seeing. And again, the lens, see how the lens turns here? The lens here to get this, and then as the lens comes through here, you see the ciliary muscle are relaxed and the lens is flattened out so you can see far. And so the light comes in and now you can see far. And you can see how the ciliary muscles contract and the lens is bulged out. The lens bulged out to see near. So the lens bulges out so you can see near, and then you can see the ciliary muscles are relaxed and flat. So you can see, so that you can see far. That's a normal eye. Correcting vision. So let's talk about this. So we can have defective vision, and some people are inherited with just bad eyes, and other vision is because a person's growing older, right? And sometimes you can have injury to your eye, which can cause problems too. So we're going to first talk about what's called nearsightedness. Another word for nearsightedness is myopia. And it's the ability to see only objects nearsighted. You can see the near side pretty easily, but you can see only near objects clearly. So when you're looking at a distance, you can't see very well. Sometimes the lens of the eye in this relaxed state, remember the relaxed state is flattened to see far, is too thick. And sometimes when it's really flat, because you're trying to see far, because it flattens the lens to see far, it's curved on the retina in the wrong way, or the eyeball is too long from the front of the back and you can't see so well. And so you only can see near things. It can be corrected by glasses, which are concave. So glasses that are concave lenses, curved inward, concave mean caved in, right? So these are curved inward, so you can see easily and now can see those things in the distance. So here's your distance here, and your focal plane is in front of the retina right here. So here the light's coming in, and you're nearsighted because you're basically being able to see near. So to correct this image, concave. There's concave lens. You can add these concave lens that allows the eyes to focus on the retina, a clear vision on the retina with these concave lens. So now let's talk about the far-sighted here. So far-sighted is hyperopia. Hyperopia means you can see things far, but you can't read things that are close or see things that are close. And so when the eye is short of the lens, basically they're brought to focus here behind the retina. Anyway, so let's look at this. So here you have far-sighted, you're going to see an image that's near, and the focal plane behind the retina, even when the lens is contracted. You see where it is? See where it's coming? See, here's the focal point right here where it focuses in right there. That's what's happening with nearsighted. Now, see how this is back here? It's too far back. So the focal plane is behind the retina, so you're not going to be able to see it very well. It's just where the focal plane comes in because the lens isn't contracting right, and you end up the focal point over here and you can't see. So to correct this image, you're going to have a convex lens. So this will bring it in. So you want it to be focused right there, right? See how the focus is there? Let's look up at the other one. Up here, see how it's focusing before. Here's the focal point. It's focusing too soon, so you need to have a concave lens to focus it right. And then here you have, it's focusing way back here, and you can't see it very well now because it's clear behind the retina. And so then now it's moved up here by these are convex. Convex lens allows the eyes to focus image on the retina. So you see the difference between this is concave is for if you were nearsighted, like most young people have nearsighted, or farsighted is when you get older and you have farsighted and you can't see, can't read, so you have to have this convex type image. So that's farsighted. Hyperopia and myopia is nearsighted. And of course, we also have astigmatism. What are astigmatism? Let's see if we have anything else here. I guess not. Let's go back to that then. Astigmatism would be different than all of these, because astigmatism means that the light rays are bent incorrectly, because your eyes is, instead of a round pupil, it's kind of turning into like an ellipse type. And the retina receives this image and it can't properly focus it, because the lens, the curvature must be totally wrong. It's like worn or wrong, I should say. And so it's asymmetrically curved cornea. So it's not completely round. It has kind of a weird structure. So you need to get a specific lens for that. And then there's presbyopia, and that's basically the eye lenses tends to be less elastic. So you tend to be more farsighted, and this happens with elderly people like me when you just start getting more farsighted. And sometimes we have to have bifocals or trifocals for this, for the presbyopia. Other things that can go wrong, here's presbyopia. Other things can go wrong basically are people that are colorblind. Say that you're colorblind. If you're colorblind, wait, before we get to color this, we're going to night blind. Let's just go back to colorblind. Here we go. Colorblind. So colorblind people can see, they can be colorblind for red, blue, green, but you can't distinguish color. It's 20 times more likely for a man to be colorblind than a woman. It's kind of weird, but men have colorblind problems more. And it usually is inherited. It has to do for defective what? Cones. The cones are being defective. And this results in damage, sometimes to damage of the brain. Part of the brain, they can't comprehend color of the cones, but also it can be damaged of the cones. And like I said, it's mainly inherited problems with the colorblind. And then we have night blindness, and it can be, if you lack vitamin A, it can cause you to have night blindness. Vitamin A is very important for sight. And what are vitamin A? Carrots, vitamin A, certain things with vitamin A is very important in your diet to be night blindness. But also night blindness can happen just as we get older, and it can be caused by hereditary. You can inherit that too. And night blindness is the lack of rhodopsin. Rhodopsin, remember with that chemical? Vitamin A gives us rhodopsin, and if you don't have enough rhodopsin, then you have this night blindness. And the rods cannot attain their maximum sensitivity. And then the last thing, and we have in our hereditary, in my side, and so in you guys' too, is glaucoma. And what is glaucoma? It's a condition where the pressure in your eye becomes so high it can cause damage. Your eye, the cells of your optic nerve can damage your nerve there, and you can become blind with glaucoma. In my family, it's inherited as we get older to test these eye pressures, because if you test these eye pressures to make sure they're not getting too high, because if you catch it in time, they can give you eye drops, a certain medicine, or you can have surgery in some cases to prevent you to becoming blind. My grandpa was blind from glaucoma, and all of his brothers and sisters got glaucoma later on in life. And my mom got glaucoma when she was like 65 years old. And my mom was treated with eye drops and such, and she was fine. My grandpa actually went blind because he didn't treat his glaucoma. So it's very important. So glaucoma is eye pressure. And then this last part is Isaac Newton. Indeed, God's amazing. Isaac Newton, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but he was basically saying, we are therefore to acknowledge one God, infinite, eternal, omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent, the creator of all things, the most wise, most just, most good, most holy. We must love him, fear him, honor him, trust in him, pray to him, give him thanks, praise, hallow his name, obey his commands, and set times apart for his service as we are directed in the third, fourth commandments. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments and judgments, and his commandments are not grievous. I love how he put this all together. Basically, did blind chance know that there was light, and what was its refraction and the fit of the eyes of all creation after the most curious manner to make it of. These such like considerations always have and ever will prevail in mankind, to believe that there is a being who made all things and has all things in his power, and who is therefore to be feared. So he's just basically saying, after Isaac Newton was studying science and all these things, he said, man, there we have a wonderful and creative God. Isn't that so? So studying these eyes, you think, oh my goodness, there's so much here that have to do with the eye and how the eye detects light and how amazing it is. So it looks like the studying of this is very complicated. Going back to this last section here, but as you put it together in all these different parts, you can see how our eyeball actually works. How amazing. I love this picture of an eyeball. The structure of the eye is amazing.